We're here back in the Fantasy Bar, sixth place for you for week 8 on Fanduel and Draftkings, including a stud wide receiver I think is too cheap. Some of my favorite correlations and stacks, another cheap wide receiver in the value range, and of course, my favorite play of the week. Who is it? Belly up to the Fantasy Bar and find out. Welcome in, guys. Week 8 edition Beers Daily Fantasy Six Pack. Thank you, as always, for stopping by the bar and checking out the video. Now, before we get into the plays for week 8, a little housekeeping. First off, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and hit that bell icon as well. Get notified when these videos are coming out. We're doing football. We're also doing basketball videos. So if you're playing DFS basketball, if you're new to it, whatnot, we're going to do probably one video a week for now to get started. While football season is going on, don't want you to miss out on any of that. Also, head over to fanduel.com/OG. Join our single entry DFS tournament with a season-long twist. $5,000 will be given away to the winner at the end of this thing. You can find all the information there at fanduel.com/OG. And make sure you're checking out our show each and every Wednesday. Notorious Head Chopper and myself breaking down every game on the main slate with our favorite plays and our favorite bets. Lastly, head over to scoresandodds.com/beer for all your sports betting needs. Link in the description of the video. All right, let's get into the plays here for week 8. We're going to start at the wide receiver position with Calvin Ridley of the Falcons. So I was loving these prices when I opened things up. These really jumped off the page for me. Calvin Ridley, just $7,000 on FanDuel, only $6,600 on DraftKings. I think this is one of the better buy lows that you can have on a guy the caliber of Calvin Ridley. We know the targets have certainly been there each and every week. We're waiting on the production to follow. I think it's only a matter of time. You continue to get targeted. You're going to be productive. I think it's coming sooner rather than later. This guy's averaging 11 targets per game over the last month of the season. And this matchup could be ideal here. Carolina really struggling against wide receivers, giving up bottom 10 numbers in receptions and receiving touchdowns allowed. That's kind of what's held Ridley back. We haven't seen the touchdowns, but we've seen the emergence of Kyle Pitts. We've seen the emergence of Cordero Patterson as well. This is going to help open things up. Calvin Ridley gets it going in a big way here in week 8. All right, let's go to the running back position. We're going to roll with DAndre Swift of the Lions. Now, talk about a consistent producer. This guy has gotten it done no matter the game script. They're up, they're down. It does not matter. We're talking about a running back on a team that has not won a game that has continued to be very, very productive, kind of defying the logic of our normal thoughts on running backs. But I'm not going to argue with the production here with DAndre Swift. We're talking about ceiling outputs in over half of his game, 22 or more DraftKings points in 4 of the last 7. You love the matchup here as well. Philly has struggled with running backs all season long, talking bottom 5 in rushing yards allowed, receptions allowed, which we know is the bread and butter of DAndre Swift, and FanDuel and DraftKings points allowed to running backs. So no matter how this game goes, Detroit gets out to a lead, they control the game, they actually win a game, Swift's going to be a big part of that. They're playing from behind. Hey, guess what? He's going to be highly involved in the passing game as well. No matter how you slice it, DAndre Swift, a phenomenal play this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, let's go to the other side of that game. I like this game a lot. We're going to go with tight end Dallas Goedert of the Eagles. So we had him in one of our videos last week, comes off the COVID list, was pretty productive right off the bat, 70 yards in that game. And we know Zach Ertz off to Arizona now. We know this target tree pretty limited here with Philadelphia. Even with Jalen Hurts kind of struggling a little bit as a passer, I think Goedert going to be highly involved here in this game against Detroit. Now, the Lions on paper been very good against tight ends, but when you start to dig into some of the guys they faced, outside of George Kittle way back in week 1, a pretty unenthusiastic list of teams and tight ends there. So take that one with a grain of salt here. Again, I like this game. We got a 3.5 point spread. We got a total creeping in on 50 here. And we have 2 defenses that have really struggled this season. Dallas Goedert, a solid play at a difficult tight end position. All right, we're not done with that game. One more play. We're going to pair up Goedert with his quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Now, there's a lot of talk out there about Hurts. Should he be replaced? Should we go to Gardner Minshew? I think that's going to help us here this week. I think people are going to be concerned. There's going to be a change. Look, we can argue about the merits of Jalen Hurts as a real-life quarterback. We're not worried about that here in the fantasy bar. We're worried about fantasy points, and he has delivered that in spades. Solid floor. So in your cash games, this guy's basically giving you 20 every single week. We know the upside's there to get well into the 30s. Hell, I think he's got 40-point upside within the realm of his possibilities. Multiple touchdowns now in 6 of the last 7 games. We've seen multiple rushing touchdowns as well. In fact, leads the league in rushing touchdowns. Tied with good old Sam Darnold in that department, but the Lions have struggled with quarterbacks, as we'd expect. 4th most touchdown passes allowed, bottom 10 in fantasy points allowed. I think Jalen Hurts continues to roll here this week against the Detroit Lions. All right, we'll leave that game for you. We'll find some other plays. Let's go back to wide receiver with Brandon Cooks of the Texans. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there have said I'm not playing any more Houston Texans. I certainly understand that, but Cooks' price continues to creep down to a point where we have to give him a look here. In fact, lowest price on DraftKings since all the way back in week 1. Now, also getting encouraging news on Tyrod Taylor possibly returning this week, and I think that's going to help Cooks a lot here. In fact, we can go back to that week 1 game, 132 yards for Cooks in that game. We know Taylor, a drastic upgrade over Davis Mills, and Houston big underdogs here. So we think about how this game plays out. The Rams likely control this game. It forces Houston to throw the ball a ton. Who's going to get those targets? It's going to be Brandon Cooks. And I get it, Jalen Ramsey's on the other side. This guy's playing more of a safety linebacker type hybrid role. I don't see him shadowing Brandon Cooks. Even if he does, I'll take 10 plus targets any day long at 6,000 or below. And that's what we have on both sites this week with Brandon Cooks. All right, it's time to take a look at my favorite play for week 8. But before we do that, we want to continue our Beast of the Week contest, absolutely free to play. This is a thank you to you guys for hanging out in the fantasy bar, for hitting that thumbs up button, for talking it up in the comment section. All you have to do is head to that comment section and guess fantasy points on Fanduel for my favorite play of the week. The closest guess is going to win themselves a free month of RotoGrinders Premium. That's right, a chance to check everything out, including our great lineup HQ tool, projections, ownership projections, and the ability to create up to 300 lineups literally in seconds. Make sure you get that guess in for a shot at the free RotoGrinders Premium. All right, without further ado, let's wrap this baby up. My favorite play for week 8, you know, Mass, the Beast of the Week. All right, Beast, time. Owe you one more running back. We're rolling with Darrell Henderson of the Rams, this week's Beast of the Week. So we'll get you a little more correlation out the door here. Brandon Cooks on one side, Darrell Henderson on the other side. I think we'll get a small ownership discount here. He's definitely going to be popular this week because he's in such an amazing spot. But there are a lot of people out there who were burned last week, was in a great spot against the Lions, and disappointed in that outing. I want to go right back to the well here on Henderson. We're talking about a very consistent player. Outside of last week, found the end zone in 4 or 5 games. We're talking about 15 or more DraftKings points in every single game. So we're getting a workhorse running back at a discounted price, just $6,500 on Henderson, just way too cheap here. And Houston, as you'd expect, struggles with running backs. Fat give up a lot of touchdowns, which plays well into our Henderson play, especially on Fanduel. We know touchdowns have more weight than they do on DraftKings. And it's not only touchdowns, fantasy points allowed, bottom 6, and they've allowed the most rushing yards of any single team in the NFL. Darrell Henderson going to get it going here against the Houston Texans, making him easily my favorite play on the board in this week's Beast of the Week. All right, guys, that wraps up for week 8 in the fantasy bar. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, hit me up in that comment section right below the video. You can also follow me on Twitter at BeerMakersFan. So again, don't forget, head over to FanDuel.com/OG to come play against Notorious Head Chopper and myself in that single entry contest. Head over to ScoresAndOdds.com/beer for all of your sports betting needs. For RotoGrinders.com, I am Beer, saying salute. Best of luck, guys. We'll have a Yahoo video out sometime on Thursday. Make sure you come and check that out. We'll have a sports betting video as well with a few of my favorite bets of the week. So come and check out all the videos with NBA coming on Friday. Best of luck. Thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you.
Hey, thanks for checking out our videos. If you want more expert advice on DraftKings, FanDuel, or any other daily fantasy sports, make sure you check out the current videos playlist